from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes to fulfill the law and prophets. To a virgin came the word from a throne of endless glory to a cradle in the dirt.
Praise the Lord. Today, let us meditate on the 7 last words of Jesus on the cross. Bruised and bleeding, the Savior's final hours were spent crucified on a cross. Although racked with excruciating pain, he made 7 significant statements as the last words of his mortal ministry. As we look more closely at these final statement, Christ shows us how he is a healing, human, and divine Savior to each of us. Though in desperate need of comfort himself, Jesus Christ's first 3 statements show his compassion and desire to heal others. The first statement was spoken as the soldiers crucified him. The Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Luke chapter 23, verse 34. Amazingly, the Savior generously pleaded for mercy for those who were in the very act of crucifying him. He is showing by example what he taught during the Sermon on the Mount, that we should love our enemies and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. John chapter 5, verse 44. Christ is teaching us. Christ is teaching us how we should be willing to extend forgiveness and mercy, even when it is not merited, asked for, or acknowledged. The Savior's second statement also displays tender compassion for others, even while he himself suffers. As Christ hung between 2 thieves, one of them taunted him by saying, "If thou be Christ, save thyself and us." Luke chapter 23, verse 39. But the other man rebuked him. By saying that they both were getting what they deserved. At this point, this penitent thief then pleads with the Savior, Lord, remember me when thou comest into thy kingdom. Luke chapter 23, verse 42. These words, spoken by a convicted criminal, are the final recorded words addressed to the Savior before his death. His plea captures a special intimacy as he is the only person recorded in the Gospels as asking Christ to remember him. Others might easily see this thief as worthless or beyond redemption. Yet, in his response to the man hanging beside him, Jesus shows us what he truly thinks of the human race. The Savior makes the second statement by saying, Verily, I say unto thee, today shalt thou be with me in paradise. Luke chapter 23, verse 43. Can you imagine the reunion when Jesus and this man see each other after they have died? Christ would personally minister to him and teach him that very day. According to Luke, Jesus began his public ministry at a synagogue in Nazareth, stating that he would proclaim liberty to the captives and the opening of the prison to them that are bound. Isaiah chapter 61, verse 1. How appropriate that he ends his mortal ministry by proclaiming freedom to one who is physically bound on a cross and spiritually bound by sin. Like this thief who hung beside Christ, we too can be freed from our own bondages and sins because of a healing and merciful Savior. When Jesus saw his mother Mary and the disciple whom Christ loved watching him as he suffered on the cross, he said the third statement. First to Mary, Woman, behold thy son. John chapter 19, verse 26. Then, directing his words to the beloved disciple, often assumed to be John, behold thy mother. John chapter 19, verse 27. Even in his greatest agony, the Savior focuses on the needs of his mother. He is showing by example how to obey the commandment he gave to honor thy father and thy mother. Matthew chapter 19, verse 19. Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. In John, first miracle Christ performed was at the request of his mother by turning water into wine. Here again, Christ lovingly attends to her needs. Even in his moment of greatest need, he inspires us to look outward even when we are suffering. The Savior demonstrated his healing power by forgiving the soldiers, comforting the thief, and honoring his mother. Just as Jesus met them where they were, he will also meet us where we are, even those who make serious mistakes. No one is beyond the reach of the Savior's healing love. In the next two statements, we are reminded that though his father was our immortal God, Jesus was born of a mortal woman. In agony on the cross, he shows us his humanity through his suffering. As Christ experiences the effects of shock due to the loss of blood, with parched and shriveled lips, he cries out his fourth statement. As the time of his death approaching, Jesus cried with a loud voice, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Mark chapter 15, verse 34. Making his fourth statement, in his moment of greatest distress, Christ is left to bear the full brunt of the sins of the world without the accompanying help of his Father. During his ministry, those who loved him, I will not leave you comfortless, I will come to you. John chapter 14, verse 18. Even in his final painful hours, he has sought to forgive, comfort, and honor those around him. And now he is the one in need of comfort, for even his father has left him to suffer these pains alone. In this statement, we more fully see a human savior who is suffering. In our pains, we can connect with Christ, for he knows how to heal our pain perfectly. The Savior fifth statement, he said, I thirst. John chapter 19, verse 28. During his ministry, Christ said to the Samaritan woman at the well, but whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water I shall give him shall be in him a well of water, springing up into everlasting life. John chapter 4, verse 14. What a powerful statement that he truly bears all of our pains as our Savior. Christ thirsted so that we can drink the cool, refreshing water that he himself so desperately needed. As the living water, he strengthens us in our own challenges. Yes, the end of the Savior's life nears. We become acquainted with his divinity in his final two statements. Despite intense suffering as the Son of God, he retains power over all things and completes his atoning sacrifice. In great agony, Christ makes his sixth statement. It is finished. John chapter 19, verse. Earlier in his ministry, Jesus taught that his purpose was to obey the will of the one who sent me and to finish the work he gave me to do, in spite of death and hell combining against him. Thirsty, forsaken, and in agonizing pain. Christ has indeed completed the work his Father had sent him to accomplish. We can be confident that even when our lives spin out of control, but Christ is completely in control. He is always at the helm. Finally, moments before Jesus ended his mortal ministry on earth, he cried the Savior's seventh statement. He said, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. Luke chapter 23, verse 46. Perhaps the key word in this seventh and final statement is I. I indicates the Savior personal agency. He willingly gave up his life. Note also, the Savior intimately addresses God as he had finished the work his Father sent him to do. Christ gave himself completely to God. Do we do the same? Do we do the same? We see Christ as a healing Savior. We see Christ as a human Savior. And we see Christ as a divine Savior, able to help us in every circumstances, because he is all powerful. We see that Jesus Christ is the Messiah who has come to save us all. May God bless you.